So in morning pages yesterday, I wrote, also it's raining. Okay, I'm going to wish for something random and then detach myself, but let's see what happens. So I'd like a piece of chocolate cake, and I'm really grateful that I just got one. It was super gooey and moist inside, and the icing was so delicious. It's the cake my mom makes. She makes such delicious chocolate cake. I just love how moist it is. Okay, cool. So like I said, it's raining. So then as soon as I'd finished morning pages, I got this idea in my head. It was just like this spark, and I was like, yes, this is how I'm gonna do it. This is how I'm gonna get that chocolate cake. And then I was like, I'm gonna ask my mom, hey mom, don't you wanna make your chocolate cake? And in my head I was kind of thinking, in the past sometimes I've done this and she's been like, no, I don't feel like making chocolate cake. Like, I mean, especially if I was just like, please make chocolate cake. I mean, she could be doing a bunch of different things, but I was like, hey, no. And then I went to my mom and I was like, hey, please can you make your chocolate cake? I really feel like your chocolate cake. And then she was like, we were just thinking that we feel like chocolate. And then I was like, no, I feel like chocolate cake. And she was like, we were just gonna send you to the store for chocolate. And I was like, but can't you make chocolate cake? And then long story short, kind of persuaded her to make chocolate cake. And then we found out that there wasn't enough butter and we needed more flour and milk. So then I was like, okay, cool. Like, I'm gonna go to the store. Like, I was like, I'm going to the store to get the ingredients because I really want chocolate cake. And then, long story short, this was yesterday. And at the end of the day, like 5 hours after I wrote that, I got chocolate cake. Hey guys, my name is Jess and welcome back to 44's channel. So today's video is another video in the series The 12 Laws of the Universe that I made, and today's video is on the law of action. So if you haven't already seen the other laws, definitely go check them out. I've already done 4 and this is the 5th one. And all of them really feed into each other, and especially the law of action, it really links with the law of attraction. Because a lot of people are like focused on the law of attraction and then they don't think that they need to take any action, and then they don't get the thing that they want because they haven't taken any action. They've just sat there being like and not done anything. So the law of action is extremely important when trying to attract the thing that you want, when trying to change the thought in your idea into an actual physical tangible thing. So in my video on the law of attraction, we spoke quite a lot on visualization and setting the intention and saying that if we want something in our lives, we have to write it down in the present tense. So say like with the chocolate cake story, I really wanted a chocolate cake, so I wrote down in the present tense, oh, I really love the chocolate cake that I just ate, and I described it, and I really like got into that feeling. I could literally taste it on my tongue. It felt like I already had it. So that's like the law of attraction speaks about that. Like, it's putting yourself into a space of gratitude and imagining that the thing that you want is something that you already have. Because remember, with the law of attraction, it's about attracting, so like energy attracts like energy. And something of one vibration is going to attract something of another vibration. So in order to attract something that you really like, you have to raise your vibration and meet that thing. So that's why you have to imagine yourself actually having it in the present, feeling super content, feeling all those feelings you would have, and yeah, then that's going to attract the thing that you want. So we've spoken a lot about that, and if you don't really know what I'm talking about, definitely go check out the other videos because I go into greater detail, obviously. But yeah, so that's all on like putting yourself in the right mind space. But now what the law of action is saying is that after you've written down, hey, I want this, and you've set the intention and you've said, hey, I really want that chocolate cake, then something is going to have to happen in order for that to materialize, in order for you to get the chocolate cake. And sometimes that can come in the form of an idea. So like with me, when I wrote the thing about the chocolate cake, I immediately got an idea, like I need to ask my mom how to do this. And maybe that's why people don't really see it as like a magical thing because you actually have to put effort into it. You know, it's like, what's so magical about that? Like, you literally just got up and asked your mom for chocolate cake, so obviously you were gonna get it. Yeah, like I definitely see where you're coming from when you do say that. But the thing with this is like, when you are in this very flowing state, when you tend to get that idea to get up and go do the thing, it doesn't feel like hard. Like when I was going to, normally if someone was like, go to the store, I'd be like, oh, like I don't feel like doing that. But like I wanted chocolate cake so much that it was so easy. I was just like, yes. And off I went, and it was like a fun, exciting journey just to go get the ingredients and that. And I didn't even think about it. It didn't feel like work. And that's like what they say about the law of action, is that once you've made your intention, you'll get an idea, and it won't be hard to do that thing. So they speak about like different types of action. So like you get inspired action and then you get uninspired action. So uninspired action is kind of like when you're just doing things mainly because other people are telling you to do it, or like you feel, oh, I should do that, or you see it as a chore, you really don't enjoy it at all. It's just like quite hard, you feel deflated, you don't feel good about yourself. You're not exactly like rushing up to go do it, and like you might start doing it and then you'll go off and do something else. So that's like uninspired action. And like no one likes that type of action. But inspired action feels completely different. So this is something, it usually happens to you unexpectedly. So it's like, as I say, after you've set the intention, then you could unexpectedly get an idea, or like someone could say, hey, like, do you want to come here? And then you have to go to the party or whatever, you know, because someone randomly asked you. But it doesn't feel like awful or horrible. It's something that you're like, yes, and you like feel excited to carry through on that idea. And it's very exciting and effortless, and it feels like you're putting in a little bit of energy to get a lot out of it. Yeah, whereas like uninspired action could be like you're putting a lot of effort in and you're like not getting much. But with like inspired action, which is something that the laws are going to help bring about, it's like super fun and super easy. And that's the thing about the law of action, is that, and with the law of attraction and all of these things, is like you don't have to solve everything. Like that's the thing, you might think, I have to do everything. If I want to do this, I have to do every single thing. I have to create the opportunities, I have to work out the plan, I need to do this. And that's super stressful because we're like, how on earth am I going to do all of this stuff? But actually, what's cool about the different laws is that once you've set the intention, they give you the opportunity to do the thing. And it's not hard in order to achieve that. So it's like the universe is the thing. Well, example, if you think it's a universe or God or whoever you think it is, or the energy or the thing, it's like that really wants to serve you and it wants to give you what you want, and it orchestrates everything. And the universe finds everything very easy, and it's all very effortless for the universe. Like as I said in one of the previous videos, like grass just grows and it's just super effortless for the universe to do that. And we set these limiting beliefs of what can and can't happen. So the thing is like once you set the intention, the universe is going to work to give you that thing. But in order to change that thought into an actual material thing, or like a tangible thing in front of you, some sort of action has to take place. And I mean, it could be like you say, oh, I really want a piece of cake, and then next second somebody walks in with a piece of cake and gives it to you. Like that could like definitely happen. Also, example, like when I was going to the store to get the chocolate cake, on my way I was like, okay, I really want this specific parking space. Like there's one specific parking space that I really like, and I was like, I'm gonna get that parking space, I just know. And then when I got there, a car was pulling out of that parking space, and then I was like, like, so with that thing, it did entail the action of me actually going to the shop and looking at the parking space. Like I didn't go to some other parking space, I went to that parking space and then the person pulled out. So in that respect, it did require action, but it wasn't a huge amount of action. But then with other things, you might have to put more work in. So with the chocolate cake, no one brought the chocolate cake and they're like, yeah, here you go, Jess, here's your chocolate cake. I had to ask my mom, like, hey mom, please can we have chocolate cake? Oh, we don't have ingredients. Well, now I'm going to go to the store and go get those things. So it really depends. And as I say, if you are truly in flow with the universe, it's not going to be hard to do that action. It's going to feel very like, this feels right. So it's not something you have to be like, oh, I'm so scared, like I can't ask that, I'm going to do that. Or if you're like, oh, and then I'm going to have to do that, and like I'm so scared, and then like that's not the right thing. It's not the right action. The right action is where you actually enjoy doing that thing. It doesn't feel like work. And a good metaphor to use with the law of action would be example when you're trying to water a plant, or water a seed, should I say. So you know, when you decide, okay, I'm going to plant this type of flower, and then you plant the seed, and it's like the seed is the idea or your intention. Like, I'm going to create a flower, so I have to start with the seed. So the seed is like the idea. It's the, I want this chocolate cake. But if I'm just like, okay, cool, plant it, now I'm going to go sit inside and do nothing. It's like, aren't you going to water it? Aren't you going to give it nutrients? Aren't you going to make sure that it's getting enough sun? So with those sorts of things, like watering it and giving it nutrients and sun, that's the action that you have to take in order to grow the seed into a flower. It's not just going to do it by itself. Like, you have to put effort in. But if you really want this flower, and like you feel energized over the idea of the flower, and you like can just picture it in your mind, then doing that effort and watering it it's going to be fun, because it's ultimately a creation process. It's like you are making small steps, and with your small steps, you are making something grow. And that's like a really cool feeling, to create something. So now I just wanted to share a few examples in my life where I've been reflecting a little bit since yesterday and trying to think of different examples where I've actually used the law of action. Because I think sometimes, well, like you use the law of action all the time. Like, you're constantly making action, and you constantly are getting the things that you want, but you're not necessarily taking note of that. So I was thinking about it today, and I was like, oh, like that's funny, because like maybe that was the law of action, and it's like, oh, but it didn't even feel hard when I did that. And you know, because sometimes we can have this like, oh, that's so hard, how on earth am I going to get that? And then it's weird, because I'm like, oh, like I did get that, and that did seem overwhelming, but the actual process of getting it was so easy and natural. It like wasn't even hard at all. So now I'm just going to give you 4 different examples of when I've used the law of action in the past, but I didn't know that I was using it. It just happened. So the first one was in my matric year. That's the year that everyone's applying for universities and that. So I'd applied for a specific university, and I didn't feel all that happy about it. It was just like something I did because everyone else was doing it. And in my head, like, that was basically the only option. So it was something like everyone else was like, yay, 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 like university is so exciting, yay. And I was dreading it. Like, I was like, I really don't want to go. And it just didn't feel right. Like, that didn't feel like my vibe. But like in my head, that was the only option. So like, that's the way it was. But then obviously, like, I also kind of had a feeling of what I did want, but I didn't know where that was. I was just like, that doesn't exist really. So like, this is what it's going to be. And then I'm not really sure like the exact details of how it happened. Actually, like I do remember now. So one of my friends had randomly said that she went to Wits to do something, and like, Wits is such a great university, and this, like, she was talking about it, and she was in my matric year. And then like, as soon as she said that, I was like, oh my gosh, like Wits is my university, like that's where I'm going. And like, I hadn't even been to Wits before. It was a feeling, like that's the place, like that felt good, like that felt not good, and this felt good. And then I went to my parents and I was like, oh, like my one friend just was speaking about Wits, and that's a university I'd really like to go to, like. And then that was during the whole time where there were the fees must fall thing. It was just the beginning, so there was a lot of violence at Wits. And then my parents were like, so both of them went to Wits, but like, yeah, like for them, they were like, obviously like they were like worried for my safety and that. So in the beginning they were like, no, like they were like, you can't do that. I was like, no, I really like feel that this is good. And then like randomly my mom got invited to this thing that was happening at Wits. It was a debate on organ transplants or something like that. And then she was like, hey, like let's go to Wits. Like she just got invited to this random thing after I said like I really want to go to Wits. And then we went to it and I was like, I was like, this feels like my university. And then like slowly, like I'm saying through the night, my mom like realized, okay, like this is the place. And it didn't matter that like all her fears disappeared because she saw like, okay, like this is the place. And then obviously after that, I had to fill in the applications, and then I got accepted, and then I was at Wits for 4 years, and it really was like, I can't ever imagine myself not going to Wits. It was just like, it was definitely the right place for me. And like I said, that's what's it's funny with the law of action, was that it was like I didn't like that, like I had an idea of what I wanted, didn't know how that would happen, and then like my friend was like, oh, like what about this? And then I had to act on it and say to my parents like, hey, I really want to do this. And then they were like, no, we don't want you to we don't want you to do that. And then my mom randomly got invited to the thing at Wits, and then like we had to take the action of going to the debate. But it wasn't like, even in those days I was like obviously a little bit scared of, well, not obviously, but I'm saying like if you knew me in the past, it would be obvious that I was scared of going to social events. But it wasn't scary. Like for me it was like, yay, like an adventure. I was like, yes, like going to the debates, even though I'm not even into medicalness, or like my mom's a medical person but I'm not a medical person, but I was like, yes, like we're going. And it was just like fun, like it wasn't hard at all. So I think that's definitely what it feels like when you actually get into the flow of in the universe. Opportunities come, but you have to take them, and when you take them it doesn't feel hard because it's just such a natural process. And then the second example of where I used the law of action was, so I did just say that in the past I was a little bit shy and like a little bit scared of social encounters, but then obviously when you go to university, like especially like when I went to university, it was kind of just me, like there was very few people from my school, so it's like, here you go make friends. And yeah, like I really had to put myself out there and make friends. And then the first year it was like hard to make like proper friends. It's kind of like you kind of just know people from class, but like honestly for the first semester I had no friends basically. And then like in the second semester, that's where I started making friends. And like in the beginning I was so like hard on myself. I was like, oh no, like I'm not making friends, I'm like, this is terrible. And like it was like like obviously it's horrible when you see other people who are all in these groups and they're all hanging out with all these people, and you're like, oh, I'm just this loser person who has absolutely no friends. So that was definitely a struggle in first year. And then like I learned how to spend time by myself, and I learned how to enjoy myself. And obviously like I wanted a friend or like someone who I had a connection with, but I kind of like detached from that idea. I was just like, oh, I'm fine by myself. Honestly, I was like, it's cool. And I remember in second year I went in and I had that mindset. I was like, it doesn't matter if I don't make friends or what, like I've already spent a whole year by myself and I'm still surviving, so like it's whatever, like I like my company. And then like what, and I was like, I did put a lot of effort into like speak to people still, because I was like, yeah, like I did, like I wasn't just sitting and like not speaking to anyone. Like I did honestly try to speak to people, but you know when you just aren't really getting that connection. But I was like practicing on my social skills and like learning how to say yes to intuition and learning how to say yes to that gut feeling. So then, as I said, like in the second year I was like, hey, it doesn't matter, whatever, and just going on with my life. And then I noticed in my course there was this one girl who, I don't know if you've ever like seen someone and you've been like, oh, like I feel like I would get along with that type of energy, I would get on with that person. But then obviously it's like scary to just go up and be like, hello, like I'm gonna be your new friend. So I would like kind of take notes of this girl, and then I was like, I like wanted to speak to her but I didn't know how. And then like there was this one day in philosophy class when I walked in. And then I saw she was sitting and there was a space next to her. So in my head, I was like, this is my opportunity. Like, I'm gonna go sit next to her. And that's the thing, like in the past, I would have been scared to do this, but like, I was just like, no, like, this is it. Like, you have to go sit next to that girl and speak to her. Like, this is your opportunity. And then like I spoke to her, I was like, hello. And like, again, I wasn't expecting anything. Like, I'd spoken to a lot of people doing like, hello, like, how are you? What are you studying? And everyone just looks at you like, why are you asking me questions? But like, I persevered. So I was like, hello, how are you? And she was like, hello. And then like, as soon as she said hello to me, I was like, I can't even explain. It was like the weirdest connection-y feeling. It was just like, you know, when you instantly know someone, like they're instantly familiar to you, like that's how it felt. And then I was so surprised. I didn't expect that at all. And then I was like, oh, are you doing PPE? So that was the name of my course, Politics, Philosophy and Economics. Even though I knew in my head, like I knew she was doing that obviously because I'd been watching it, like not in a stalking way, but like an observation way. And then she was like, yes, I am doing PPE. And then like we started talking and I was like, it was so nice. And then she became my best friend, and like I still see her now, and she was like the first and one of the only people who I actually became friends with outside of varsity. So it wasn't just like, oh, I'm friends with you because I see you in philosophy. Like we hang out afterwards. And like with that, I always thought like, if I hadn't actually sat next to her, like taken the action and agreed or listened to the thoughts in my head, like my thought was like, sit next to her, like there's the opportunity. And then I sat next to her and I spoke to her and it was exactly what I wanted. So yeah, like, so in that situation, I could definitely see how action brought that about, but also obviously intention. And then with that detachment, like I was like, I'm perfectly fine on my own. I don't, like, I've survived this long, don't need to make any friends or whatever, like it's fine. And then that's when I met the person who I connected with so quickly. And then the third example, I think it was, it was third year. And then, so me and the friend who I was talking about, okay, her name's Carly. So, shout out to Carly. But anyway, so like Carly and I were like going through the stage where we really wanted to do something with like volunteering or go work in an orphanage or like to do something like to work in a children's home or to work like in an NGO or something. Like we wanted to do something like that. And in my head, like I had this visualization, like, oh, like, because I really loved, well, I do still love like education and the education system and maybe like helping or doing something in a township. So that was kind of like the energy that I wanted and what I wanted to do. Like for like quite a few years, I really pictured myself doing that. And then, so Carly and I were like my mom sat down with us and she was like, why don't you guys go and look at a whole bunch of NGOs and just like see if you can volunteer at any of them, but just like go interview the places. Like, yeah, so it was like actually quite, like now that I think of it, it's like so random that we did that. But yeah, like we wrote down a list of all the places we were going to, we contacted them, and we went to like 15 different places. They were like different animal places, like a sexual assault clinic, like an animal conservation type of thing, a lot like children's homes, and all of those sorts of things. Like we went to all of those. We went to mainly animal things because those were the only really places we could go to. And then we just like randomly went and we were interviewing them and that. And then like, so that was in the holidays. And then when we started the next semester, I still like really wanted to do something in volunteering and doing tutoring or something. And then I was walking in the politics department and then I saw on the wall there was a piece of paper that was like, the assist, sign up if you want to come tutor in Alexandra Township. And then I was like, hey, and I like took a picture of it. And then I like went home and sent them a message and I was like, hey, please can I come? And then I ended up like being invited and I went to the whole thing. And I was scared to go the first time because even when you really want something, it can be a little bit scary and like daunting, because you don't know how it works and stuff. But like I went anyway and I went on the bus and like spoke to the people and it was super nice. And then I was part of the assist for like a year and a half and it was just like, it felt so good and so nice. It was exactly the energy that I was looking for. And like that was funny because it's funny because in the time, like I thought it would take years and years and years for me to ever reach that type of energy or space that I was looking for. I was like, you're gonna have to study a lot and then work here and here and here in order to get that. But like it was so instant, like I got that energy instantaneously. Yeah, so like that's what's super cool. Like the whole year and a half is literally I was living like the type of life that I wanted and doing those sorts of activities. But then I'm saying that what's interesting is that it required action. So Carly and I went to all those different things, like it cemented in my head like what I wanted to do. And then after that, I saw the piece of paper that was like, join the assist. And then I took action by saying, hey, I want to join the assist. How does it work? And then I actually went to the bus and like went to the first thing. And then it's like, so it's like taking those little actions and then I got the thing that I was looking for. Like I was in a super good space that felt right. And then my fourth and final example, it's quite funny. We literally have something for each year, like each year that I was in university. So for fourth year when I was doing honors, so I did my honors in economics. And then well, I don't know if you know, but you have to do a research project. And the thing is like my whole undergrad of economics, it was very finance based. There wasn't a lot of developments or anything like that. And I'm interested in development, but I don't care for finance. And I was kind of dreading this research project because I thought it would be something like go explore the JSE things or like go look up supply and demand or something like that. I was just like, oh, that sounds horrible. It just sounded awful. And then like, so I was dreading it. I was like, that's what I thought you had to do your research project on, or I thought they would give you a topic and that would be it. And then like, so I was really interested in the education system. Like that's something I really wanted to do it on, but I wasn't sure that would be allowed. And then like that, like what ended up happening was that there was a supervisor who did development economics. And then also like in my fourth year, I took a course on development economics. And I just thought it was funny because like I'm saying, it was like literally the whole of third year, I was like, okay, like the research project's going to be on some finance thing, but this was really what I would want to do. Like I'd want to do it on education, but I was like, that's not allowed. Like I was thinking that's not allowed. But then anyway, like it just ended up happening that I chose my thing, that worked. Like my supervisor said that it was, so what I ended up doing was exploring whether there's a positive correlation between parental involvement in grade 9 mathematics marks in South Africa. And then there was like a whole reason, it linked to the assist. And like I saw that like when I was at school, I think I did better because my parents made sure that I did, example, my homework, or they made sure that I learned my timetables. But there's not really that supervision in, example, a township. So I was like, okay, like, especially with timetables, like that was a big thing. And it was like these grade 8s they didn't know their timetables and stuff, which like obviously it's not their fault. Like it's just the environment that they're in. But if you can't do your timetables instantly, if you don't know like 4 times 5 is 20 instantly, then how are you supposed to do algebra? So that's kind of where I saw like parents are important example for the foundation. So anyway, that's why like that's the thing I wanted to do. And then so like I got that idea randomly. First they were like choose your research project, and then I was thinking like, oh, like what am I going to do it in? And then I was reading a book by Malcolm Gladwell called The Outliers, which is a really good book. And then it was speaking about parents and stuff, and like it was speaking about something like that, like when kids go home in the summer, when they have access to resources and stuff, they tend to come back and do better. So that's what he was speaking about in his book. And then I was like, oh, like that really links with the assist. And then I was like, I want to do this. Still didn't know if it was possible. And then like it was possible. And then like what was cool is that I literally did my project on the thing that I wanted to do. And like, as I say, I didn't think it was possible, but I did it. And then like at the end we had a whole like, what do you call it, like a seminar thing where we had to present our research. And then like I ended up coming second place in that, which I was like so like happy and proud of myself. And like I was proud of myself because I felt like it was relevant, and it was like the thing I really wanted to do. And like I took that chance and I did the thing I wanted to do, even though I didn't think it was allowed. And then it was like, oh, I had this perception, but then people liked it. and people thought like the education things were interesting. So it's like your perception isn't necessarily right, and you could be like, oh no, like no one's gonna like that, but like that's not the case. Just do the thing you want to do and do the thing you're passionate about. Like the universe will help you do that thing, and then it's gonna have a really good response. Yeah, like it's like the right thing to do. Yeah, and then I ended up getting 86% for my like research project, and it was just like something like genuinely one of the things I'm most proud of that I've done. And like that linked with the third thing I was speaking about, how I really wanted to like do something cool like that, like do a township thing and like do research that was relevant. And like as I said, I was thinking it was something that was going to happen far in the future, but now that I look back at it, I'm like, oh, like I actually did do everything that I wanted to do. And I mean, obviously that stuff could come again in the future, and that, I mean, I'm on like a little bit of a, well, it's the same path, but it's taken a bit of a detour. It's not like in that stuff anymore. But it's just, it's cool because I'm like, oh, like I thought it would take so long and it didn't take long. So yeah, that's all I'm really going to speak about on the law of action. If you enjoyed this video, please remember to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel, and then press that bell if you'd like to get notifications. And if you really enjoyed this video, please remember to share it with someone who you think would benefit from it. And also remember to check out the rest of the series, because like I said, this is the 5th one, but I've done like the law of divine oneness, the law of vibration, the law of attraction, and the law of correspondence. So yeah, check all those out, and as I said, like a lot of those feed into some of the stuff that we spoke about today, especially the law of attraction. But I hope you have the most awesome weekend and then the next week coming up, and I'll see you next week. Bye guys.